Welcome. My name is Ray Williams, and this is my life as I traveled as a solo traveler around the world. We're starting out in Nepal in the Chitwan Royal Park. And as you'll see throughout this video, I love animals, so you'll see elephants, camels, monkeys, kangaroos, just about everything. So this was me riding on elephants in the Royal Park. We took them down to the river and were bathing the elephants. So I had the guide that controlled the elephant, and then I rode along for the fun of it. And it was pretty crazy, as there are, I don't know if they're alligators or caimans or what they are there, but it was dangerous when you fell off the elephant in the water. Now we're up on the mountain on Everest on the Nepal side, and this is me. I've been up there 5 times. So it's me traveling around at various times between 2000 and 2010. Now we're back in the Royal Park. These photos are all mixed up, so there's nothing consistent. There was a rhino that was just a few feet away, and I was left on the ground when the guides ran up the tree and there was no room for me. So I was on the ground. And this is back up on Everest. And that's Mount Everest in the background, the tall, dark one. The Tingvishe Monastery is someplace I absolutely love, and this is a photo of it. I absolutely loved every time that I went up on Everest. The 5 times on the Nepal side, I went to that monastery. Someplace I really, really liked. This was one of the trips when I did the Chola Pass. There's the monastery from a distance. I tried calling a friend on a satellite phone and she didn't answer the phone. So now we're in Papua New Guinea, and that was in a village in Tari, and now we're on the Sepik River. And I bought all of these carvings from that guy on the left. These are all along the Sepik River. And that's me in the white t-shirt, and I met these guys that gave me a ride back to a local village from there. This is in Tari, and this was kind of scary because I got left there and they didn't have the flight that I was supposed to have, and so I finally got a flight out, but I was concerned because my guide had left on a bus, and it wasn't safe for me to take a bus, so I had to wait for a flight. This is back on the river again. And this was a group of locals that play games there, soccer. These are local people in Tari. Some children in Tari. Back on the Sepik River again. And here we are in Moscow, Russia. As I said, we flip around throughout this video. But this was Moscow, Russia, with the Moscow circus. Some children in Moscow on a bus. And this was, I think it's the Volvo River, I can't remember. And here we're in Russia again. That's me inside. Here we're in Vietnam, where the underground tunnels were made during the war. This is down in the tunnel, actually. We're still in Vietnam here. And this is Vietnam. And this is Vietnam as well. Rice paddies in Vietnam. Vietnam is amazing. I actually bought one of these, or 2 of these actually, of those sculptures from the Vietnam puppet show. This is Ha Long Bay in Vietnam. It's absolutely beautiful. I cannot tell you enough that if you ever get a chance to go there, it's absolutely beautiful. It's up on the northern part, just a little distance from Hanoi. Now we're in Guatemala, and this is Tikal. And it's another place that's amazing if you ever get a chance to go. Tikal is just unbelievable. I get up in the middle of the night to go up and sit and watch the sunrise come up. And that was amazing by itself, behind all the buildings. This is in Thailand. And Thailand's another place I absolutely loved. I pretty much loved everywhere I went in the world. And I went to almost everywhere. I went all over the world. And this was the difference between the elephant rides in Thailand versus in Nepal. This one had like the little seat thing on the top. I just sat on the elephant, but in Nepal, you just hung on and you were by yourself and hung on to the elephant and he went. And it's funny because in some of these, most of these photos you'll see, I had a money belt on and I didn't realize that you could see it until afterwards, but then I just kept doing it anyway. And this is in Egypt with the pyramids. I did the river all the way from to go up to see all of like where the kings were buried and the Egyptians were buried. This is the Panama Canal. This resort was so amazing, and it's for sale right now. This is Tibet. This was going to the base camp, and there I am at the base camp on the Tibet side, and that's it's written in Tibet, and this is the Tibet side of the Mount Everest. That building is just so amazing, and these were the debating monks in Tibet. This is in the Baltic states. I did the 3 Baltic states, and I really liked that as well. I spent a few days in each one of the Baltic states. Now we're in Turkey, and Turkey's another place that if you ever get a chance, it's amazing. St. John's tomb was there. And these are the ruins in Turkey. They look really similar to what you'd find like in the Roman ruins. This is Mary's house, which is where Mary is buried, mother of Jesus. Now we're back up on Everest. I apologize for these flipping all around. There I am at the base camp. And there I'm at Kalapatar, which is up higher than the base camp. You can see the base camp from up there, and then you're pretty high up. That's me at up on Mount Everest here. This was the Japanese hotel that you just saw me drinking their coffee. That's up on Everest. It's the nicest one up there. And this is in Kathmandu. These photos here are all in Kathmandu. The guy on the right, he's from Japan, and then his guide was on the other side of me. I met them up at base camp. This was a rescue helicopter up at base camp. And this was going over the pass, the Chola Pass. And these are the bridges that, the modern bridges. The old ones, they're unbelievable, the wooden old bridges. They weren't really safe, but these are really safe. And the trails look mostly like what you just saw there. They're not very wide, but they're well cared for. That was another trip with my guide and porter. And this is on the Chola Pass. And the Chola Pass, I met these people that came along with me. The guy was from Germany and the girl was from Amsterdam. This is in the Chitwan Park again. This is one of the favorite photos that I took with carrying the baskets up on Everest. We're back at the monastery up on Everest, Tingboche. And this is the Yeti Head, and it's in a little village up on Mount Everest, and it's hard to get in to see it. That was the High Lama of Tingboche that I was sitting with. And this is base camp again. And these were the people I was talking about from Germany and Amsterdam that went with me across the Chola Pass, because you can get lost up there, and so they went with me. This was the group that I took a ride with that worked for the government in Papua New Guinea, and this was on the river in Papua New Guinea, the Sepik River. And these were the same people that were in Tari, local people that played a variety of games, but like soccer and so forth. This was going down the Nile River in Egypt, and that was my room on the boat. And these are all along the river. And this was back in Tibet, on the Tibet side. This was a hotel in a small village, and these were Tibetans, the monks in Tibet. These are the debating monks again in Tibet. That building, at one time, it was the tallest building in the world. I don't remember what century, but it was a long time ago. And this is back in the Baltic states. And this is in Turkey. That's Mary's house. And this is in Troy, and that's a replica of the horse that they pushed in to attack Troy. And this is in Turkey again, in Istanbul. These stone pillars, they built homes and things inside of those. It was so amazing. This is walking along the trails on Everest, and that's one of the bridges along the trail. You had to cross it. You had to cross several of those. This was in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I stayed there so much for work that they made a sign for me that was welcome me back. This was Venice years and years and years ago. And this was in the Vatican. You can tell I didn't have a very good camera. I never took good cameras. This was the Venice Carnival. There's the Colosseum. I never took good cameras because I always thought they'd get stolen. And so now looking back, I wish I would have. And when I was traveling, if you had a video camera, they were huge. It's not like it is today. Napoleon's tomb. This is where it's a old house where ghost Mad Maud stayed and haunts that castle. And I had the room which she was supposed to haunt. This is in London. And this is Auschwitz, the saddest place I've ever been in my life. I've never forgotten it. It was just a really cold day, and there weren't very many people there, and it was just so eerie. This is a hotel up on the side of the mountain in Acapulco, Mexico. That's in Spain. This is in France, Paris, France. This was going down the Amazon River the first time. I went on a boat called the Adolfo, and the year later, the government took over the boat because they were smuggling drugs and weapons on the bottom of the boat, and the tourists were on the top. But these are all photos from that time. That's me doing the bubbles for the kids. I looked a lot different than I had black or brown curly hair. And this was me on it wasn't the Colorado, it was a Green River, but it was in Colorado. And this is in the Amazon the first time doing bubbles. And that's the blowgun that I traded for. This is Costa Rica doing repelling. This was back in the Amazon, the first trip. When I went back the second time, it was nothing like it. And this is us playing soccer on the Amazon River. Little kid with his monkey. And That's the flag of the Adolfo. I'm sure it's not there anymore. That's the same. I actually have that little jar she's got. That's the boat, the Adolfo boat. I still have all the bark paintings and stuff that I traded for. Back then they didn't take money, so you had to bring things to trade with the different tribes. As you went down the river, we stopped at several places and I would trade at each of the places. And I have a blowgun and the darts and a lot of bark paintings and just clay pots they made, and that's just information about the boat. And every day they'd write up there what was available to eat and drink on the boat. And this was, I don't remember what what village that was, but this is on the boat. And that was the captain of the Adolfo at the time. At night we went out to search for alligators in a little tiny boat. This is in France. This was in, I'm trying to think, that where this little lizard is, that was in Costa Rica, and that was outside my room. And this was like a little secluded beach. That's me on the river back on the Green River. The Green River still. We had 2 boats. And a really bad picture of the Opera House in Australia, and that's on a boat to go out to find there's kangaroos in Australia. We went out on the boat to look for dolphins. And that bird, he put something on my shoulder to have it come flying. I forgot what kind of bird it is, but these are pretty bad photos of me with that's what the boat with the dolphins. This is on the Nile River again. They would sell things and then they'd put it in a plastic bag, and then that's what he's doing there, and then they'd throw it up to you. You put the money in the bag and throw it back to them. And this is in Tibet. Tibet was really interesting. I love Nepal. I love Tibet too, but Nepal is just something special to me. It's my favorite place in the world. This is in Tibet in a monastery. These are all of Tibet. And these were they were walking around the monastery. Back in Egypt, that was from my room, so I could see the pyramids. And this is that same resort in Panama again. It's off of Bocas de Toro. It's for sale right now. We're back in Russia. Back in the Chitwan Park, and some elephants ahead. The only thing we had to protect ourselves from that guy with the stick. When you're having a rhino close to you, it doesn't make you feel safe. Up on Everest on the Nepal side. That was me and my guide and a porter. Each trip I had a different guide and a different porter. And this is one of the things out in the Chitwan Park that you could do, was to take the elephant rides. And I loved it there because it was different than it was in Thailand. In Nepal, they just had a rope around the elephant's neck, and I loved the elephants. I had one elephant that I would take him stuff to eat, and they had his leg tied. They were training him, and I was not afraid of him at all. I probably should have been, but I wasn't. And this is going up to the base camp on the Nepal side. The Chitwan Royal Park is just really amazing. There's the rhino. He was really close. And like I said, there was only one tree that we were able to get up in, and I got left on the ground. One of my trips, they let me go in and have tea at that monastery up in the Tingbushe Monastery. That was up on the Chola Pass. And that's me, and the guy is from Germany, and the girl's from Amsterdam. But I got to go in and have tea. The Dalai Lama wasn't there that trip. He was down in Kathmandu, so they brought me in to help me, or to give me tea, and I helped make the tea. Back in, it's that same group of guys that were playing soccer, and that's it. Well, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.